Pleasure to invite Honorable Hussein Bashe, the Minister of Agriculture of the United Republic of Tanzania, and our host for his opening remarks. As he comes, let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Honorable Ministers from EACO member state, Ambassador Solomon Rutega, Secretary General of EACO, distinguished government officials, esteemed delegates, members of Coffee Fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, Habari ya mchana. I have the honor to welcome you all today to this ministerial session of the 3rd G25 African Coffee Summit. The theme of the summit is Unlocking Employment Opportunities for Youth through Regeneration of the African Coffee Industry. The purpose of the summit is to bring together African coffee-producing nations to re-evaluate, re-strategize our coffee sector, to benefit our producers from the full process of the value chain. This will create job opportunity for youth and increase our economic growth, wealth creation of our community. Global population is projected to be 9 billion people by 2050. African population will be over 2 billion, which is over 25% of global population at that time. Our current average age is 20 years in Africa. Asia is 30 years, Europe is 40 years. But in 2050, it is projected average age for Africa will be 25 years, Asia will be 40, Europe 47, and America 42. And this is why Africa needs to re-evaluate strategies, targets, and new direction for our youth and the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa has the largest number of countries which produce coffee. Almost half of the continent grows coffee. For us, coffee is our heritage, our identity, our life, our economy, our prestige. It contributes to our economic development. Given our continent's vast arable land, water resources, youthful and energetic labor force, there is no reason for Africa not increasing its production and enjoy full potential for this vital commodity and change our direction from raw material exporter to value addition and finished goods, and increase our intertrade from 15% average to 50% is inevitable, and this should be resolution here in Dar es Salaam. Africa accounts only for 11% of global coffee production, as my brother from Rwanda said it. This is almost half the amount that we produced in 1960. While global coffee production continues to rise annually, Africa's output has been declining. This calls for urgent intervention from public, private sector, financial institution, and other international global financial infrastructure to regain our share of the market. We must now go further than just continuously highlighting the problems, blaming others, depending on donors to grow our coffee sector and agricultural sector in general, depending on aid, begging the development partners community to support us on our development. It's time to change and demand fair global trade platform and increase our intercontinental trade. It's embarrassing that we export 3 billion worth of coffee and import 6 billion of a made coffee. In short, we export raw material worth $3 billion annually, and we import made coffee in Africa worth 6 billion. This needs to change. We need to set a target to increase our production to a minimum of 20% of global production by the year 2030. It is incumbent upon us to respond to the increasing global preference for premium African coffee. In addition, we need to unlock our untapped markets on the continent and strengthen intertrade coffee trade. It's difficult to sell coffee to my neighboring country my brother and my sister, but it's easy to sell it outside the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa is the birthplace of coffee. As I said, it is our heritage, which need to be protected and make it prosper. Our diverse climate and terrains nurture a variety of high-quality coffee beans. Tanzania exemplify Africa's potential in coffee production, with regions such as Kilimanjaro and Southern Highland producing some of the world's finest coffee beans. Africa countries collectively, as I said, earn not more than 3 billion from coffee export. Out of global coffee value trade, 500 billion. The entire global coffee trade worth over 500 billion, but our stake is not more than 3 billion. And the reason is simple. We trade raw material rather than trading processed and finished goods. A significant factor contributing to this disparity is over 90% of Africa coffee is exported as a raw beans, with minimal value addition taking place on the continent. This practice has resulted in Africa capturing only a small fraction of the value chain. The most profitable part in the coffee value chain is the value addition, which predominantly conducted in importing countries. We export at the average price of $4 to $7, and we celebrate, but we import made coffee at an average of $15 to $20 per kg. This not only limits the revenue we generate, but also restricts employment opportunity with our own economies. It is imperative that we move beyond being mere producers of raw beans and taking significant steps toward value addition. As I said, it is sad we export 1 kg at an average of $4 to $7 and import at an average made coffee at an average of $15 to $20. One of the critical challenges we face is the declining interest in young people in pursuing farming and coffee itself. The volatility of global coffee prices has made coffee farming less attractive, as it creates unpredictable incomes for farming families. To address this, we must focus on increasing domestic value addition, increase our trade of coffee within continent. As I said, invest in the value addition will give us the respect Africa deserves. Today, we are told what to do, how to farm by those who do not even have a single tree of coffee. With a population of 1.5 billion people, Africa has a vast untapped consumer market. However, most of the coffee consumed on the continent is imported, with the value addition made outside of the continent. We must change this by promoting local processing and integrating coffee into our culture. Ethiopia, for example, has successfully embedded coffee into its culture with affordable coffee sold in street kiosks. Tanzania launched a project last year to sell coffee on the street using mobile cafeterias. This project is implemented under BBT program, where youth are given 3-wheel kiosks with all necessary facility and working capital and become coffee vendors in our cities. We must increase our production, which resulted into increase our production from 55,000 metric tons in 3 years to 85,000 metric tons this year. Tanzania government invests to our farmers by giving subsidies to and drill boreholes and providing farmers with free seedlings, free loans to youth in Kagera and mechanization equipment. All this aim at increasing growth and wealth creation for our youth. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, Africa imports 500,000 tons annually for internal consumption worth 6 billion. To maximize the value chain and ensure farmers receive a fair share of the market, we must change our concept and invest in processing facility, both small scale and large scale, across all African coffee producing and consuming countries. Coffee consumption on the continent is on the rise and should benefit African producers. This will help us negotiate with those who do not farm coffee and dictate us through laws and procedures which restrict us from growing. Things like EUDR. It's time our continent, through African Union and EACO, to negotiate with them as a bloc, and we stop working in isolation. And this is a very big problem. AU has to negotiate with EU on the EUDR so that it can be incorporated within Africa economic infrastructure and not as per their economic infrastructure. Tanzania is fortunate to have 2 instant coffee factories, Tanika and Amim Amza, which have attributed to value addition locally. To move forward, it is imperative to set target that by 2030 all African coffee consuming countries trade coffee directly from Africa producing coffee. You will all agree with me that this is doable. It will unlock a lot of opportunities for youth. In addition, it will create investment and employment opportunities in our continent. We need to shift from exporting raw beans to offering a wide range of processed coffee product, thereby maximizing our gains from the coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, youth must be at the core of our coffee industry. By embracing eco-friendly farming practice, supporting fair trade principles, and prioritizing the welfare of farmers, we can ensure that Africa coffee sector thrives for generations to come. Transformation in this sector cannot be achieved in isolation. We must work together. Governments, private sector, stakeholders, NGOs, and coffee association is crucial in strengthening African coffee value chain. Through joint effort, we can secure a stronger position in a global coffee market and innovate all aspects of coffee value chain from production to processing and marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of Tanzania's commitment to transforming the coffee sector, we have undertaken the following initiative. Strengthening coffee research institutions to address challenges such as pests, diseases, and combat the imminent threat of climate change on coffee. Supporting farmers with agricultural input, including the provision of coffee seedlings and fertilizer subsidies, and developing a digital platform for farmers' registration and identification. This has helped us in the formalization of smallholder farmers. Establishing the Building a Better Tomorrow program, which encourages youth participation in agribusiness with focus on coffee value addition and giving free land to youth, thanks to the regional commissioners in the coffee production area. Increasing our domestic consumption from 7% to 15%. Invest in Tanika and strengthening cooperative society. These efforts align with our broader vision to make Tanzania a model for the transformation of the coffee sector in Africa. As we gather here today, let us reaffirm our commitment to transforming Africa's coffee industry. Let us celebrate the hard work of our smallholder farmers, roasters, baristas, and all those who contribute to making coffee a symbol of excellence. Let us protect our heritage. Let us tell the global big boys that we don't need aid in growing our sector. We need equity, fairness, and change of global financial infrastructure. Let us unite and negotiate with those who don't farm but consume our coffee as a block. Let us trade between ourselves and stopping competing and rather complement each other. This summit has provided us with a valuable opportunity to share ideas and forge meaningful discussion to pave the way for prosperous future for our coffee sector. By embracing value addition, increasing domestic consumption, and promoting sustainability, we will not only elevate the African coffee industry, but also unlock investment and employment opportunity for our youth, which account for 30% of African population. Let us tell Africa Union to stand for African farmers and private sector. Let us negotiate as bloc with EU instead of isolation. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to all of you as we embark on this journey of transformation. Together we shall ensure the African coffee stand as a beacon of equality, quality, pride, and prosperity for our continent and the rest of the world. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And allow me to say that it is really inspiring